You know, Mr. President, we each represent our own states. We have matters of interest in our states, but they're also so many times they're national interests. During this past recess, I was in just about every part of Vermont. And I was stopped time and time again by Vermont farmers who asked me why Congress had left town without passing a farm bill. They knew we'd passed it here in the Senate, but why hadn't it finished? And like my fellow Vermonters, I've been frustrated by the refusal of the leadership of the House of Representatives to consider the legislation sent to them by the Senate to extend the Farm Bill. In fact, they blocked consideration of a bipartisan farm bill, one that mirrors the legislation passed in their own body by the House Agriculture Committee. Now, Mr. President, I've been here nearly 38 years. I've served on the Senate Agriculture Committee all that time. I have never seen a case where the House Agriculture Committee, whether it's led by Democrats or by Republicans, I've never seen an occasion when they passed a bipartisan farm bill only to see it blocked from a final vote by its own leadership. The Senate's done its work, but as a result of the House's inaction for the first time that anybody at all can remember in either body, the Farm Bill has expired. Now, this is dangerous for dairy farmers in Vermont, but also across the country. It also delays, with this delay, it threatens our rural communities. And we all have rural communities in our state. And the farmers who not only need but also deserve the certainty that a 5-year farm bill provides. We pass them in 5-year segments so that farmers who have to plan way in the future know how to plan. And you can't say, well, wait a minute, put your farming on hold while we try to get our act together here. Don't milk those cows for a few months while we figure out what we're going to do. Or don't plant that ground, don't harvest that crop while we're trying to figure out what to do. It doesn't work that way. You know, farmers already confront an uncertainty enough in running their business. And you let farm programs expire without enacting a new farm bill needlessly compounds that uncertainty, and it is irresponsible. Decisions must be made today. Determines what's going to be planted next spring. But now they have to make that without any guidance of what might be the Farm Bill. Essential nutrition programs in the Farm Bill provide healthy food for vulnerable populations, such as children or pregnant or nursing women. Vermonters, but also tens of millions of people across the country, depend upon these programs when they're struggling to put enough food on their table during these very tough economic times. Now, some of these program benefits will continue, but in such a tenuous position. How does a state plan? How does a community plan? How does a civil program plan? So we need the House leadership to allow the Farm Bill to proceed so we can move this country forward and give farmers the certainty and vulnerable citizens the security they deserve. Now, the Senate Farm Bill is a good bipartisan bill. But more than that, it's a deficit reduction bill. It has $23 billion in cost savings. It has crucial policy reforms for dairy farmers so they can face the challenges of the 21st century. It also maintains a safety net for millions of hungry Americans. You know, when the wealthiest, most powerful nation on earth, people going hungry, a nation who spend billions of dollars on fad diet programs or billions of dollars to dispose of waste food. We shouldn't have hungry people in this country. I'd also point out that the Farm Bill has always been bipartisan. I remember the hard work and mutual respect, spirit of cooperation that Senator Dick Lugar and I shared. We worked together as Agriculture Committee Chairman and Ranking Member. We put American farmers and families first and politics last. My good friend from Indiana and I were able to accomplish amazing things together. Obviously, we have some differences of opinion as members of different regions and different parties do, but we knew we had to work together, and we did. And America benefited from that, and certainly our farmers did. But the need to work together is just as true today, and it's going to take real leadership in the House and Senate to pass a farm bill. Now, we've seen how that leadership and bipartisanship here in the Senate. Having served as chairman for 8 years of the Senate Agriculture Committee, I can say without any doubt at all that Chairwoman Debbie Stabenow has been one of the finest chairs we've had of that committee. And I've watched how hard she's worked and how hard the ranking Republican, Pat Roberts, has worked. He brought his tremendous experience and knowledge from his time as chairman of the House Agriculture Committee. In fact, Mr. President, in the debate over that, and I commend Senator Stabenow on this, just looked around that table. We had several people at that table who had been chairman or ranking members of the Senate Agriculture Committee or the House Agriculture Committee, both Republicans and Democrats. In fact, one who had been the Republican Secretary of Agriculture. And we all said, you know, we can play games, we can talk, we can posture, we can sloganeer, or we can sit down like grown-ups and put together a real farm bill. It took a nanosecond to decide we're going to be grown-ups and put together a real farm bill. And Republicans and Democrats sat down. We wrote a deficit-reducing, meaningful farm bill, and it passed in a Senate which is often deadlocked. It passed by a 64 to 35 margin. I mean, it was overwhelming from all parts of the country and across the political spectrum. I mentioned Senator Johans, who was on the committee. He was a former Secretary of Agriculture during the Bush administration. He helped us write it, and it shows how bipartisan the approach to reauthorizing the farm bills here in the Senate. We did not let political labels get in the way of what was best for the country. Now, the elections are over. We know it's won or lost. So I would hope that our friends in the other body, in the House representatives, would set aside the obstructionism and pass this bill. I'm pleased by the fact that our state's lone congressman, Peter Welch, is a member of that committee. He has been urging both Republicans and Democrats to pass the bill, and I agree with him. Because it's a bill that directly affects every farm family's budget. It tells which crops to plant, where to sell, how much to borrow. Allows farmers to make those decisions, which are hard enough to make anyway, but at least to make them with some kind of certainty of what the law is going to be after they make them. The Farm Bill affects Vermonters and Americans across the country who are food insecure and face uncertainty in these difficult times. One of the things people lose sight of, Mr. President, that the Farm Bill is also a disaster relief bill. We need the new Farm Bill and help farmers in the Garden State and across the entire nation to recover from the nonstop floods of 2012. We need it to help those across the nation who are struck on the other side of the spectrum in weather with drought. That's all in this bill, because we know that much as we wish there'd never be floods, much as we wish there'd never be droughts, they occur. We've written that into this bill. Why in heaven's name would anybody from any part of the country, and we're all vulnerable at one time or another, why would you hold it up? In fact, things are going to get worse very quickly if we begin next year without a farm bill. Outdated parity price systems will multiply the price of milk on store shelves. It will destroy household pocketbooks and the milk market nationally. Let me reiterate that, certainly in my state, this is very important. If we don't pass the bill, we have outdated parity price systems multiplying the price of milk on store shelves and destroying household pocketbooks in the milk market nationally. Ask anybody who lives paycheck to paycheck what that would mean. So I hope the leadership in the House of Representatives will allow an open debate on the Senate-passed Farm Bill. We don't have to have a bill that's word for word will be passed here in the Senate. But I point out that it saves billions of dollars. It does have a dairy program. It does speak to drought relief, disaster relief, and flood relief. We need it now. Stand with our dairy farmers in Vermont, or eggplant growers in New Jersey, or hungry families across the country. Let's leave the political gamesmanship aside. Help America's farmers and families in rural communities to rely on the Farm Bill. People in these communities, the farmers in these communities, they don't care whether you have a Democrat's name or a Republican's name on the bill. All they need to know is they want a good farm bill that allows them to stay in farming. Mr. President, farming is hard enough as it is. None of us have to do the farming. We ought to stand up and help those who do, and we can do it.